Global Business Final Project: Doing Business in Somalia. Introduction. My name is Sarah Weisenhofer. This is the final project for Global Business, Doing Business in Somalia. I picked Somalia because I have a friend that came to the United States from Somalia. She has always talked about her country and it always made me interested in learning more about where she'd come from. Somalia is one of the toughest countries in the world to do business with. From the rugged countryside, little groundwater sources, huge poverty problems, this final project was very interested finding information for what it would be like to develop a business within Somalia. Somalia versus the United States comparisons. The gross domestic product is 6.217 billion US dollars compared to the US at 18.57 trillion US dollars. The population in Somalia is 14.32 million versus the US at 323.1 million. The flag of Somalia, blue fields, is the same shade used by the United Nations. The five-pointed white star unity. It was adapted on October 12th, 1954. The U.S. flag, June 14th, 1777. The stripes represent the original 13 colonies, and the stripes represent the 50 states of the Union. The colors of the flag are red, white, and blue. Cultural profile. Some differences in Somalia versus the U.S. Would be Somalia's names have three parts. The first name is the given name and is specific to an individual. The second name is the name of the child's father. And the third name is the name of the child's paternal grandfather. The right hand is considered the clean and polite hand to use for daily tasks such as eating, writing, and greeting people. If a child begins to show left-handed preferences, the parents will actively try to train him to use the right hand. Similar of the U.S. Children and elders share mutual respect. When addressing another family member or friend, words for aunt, uncle, brother, sister, and cousin are used depending on the person's age relative to the speaker. Men are usually the head of the household. Women manage the finances and take care of the children. It is considered culturally unacceptable for a man not to be perceived as being in charge of his home. At the wedding ceremony, the groom is told by the elders that he is responsible for feeding his family and respecting his wife. Basic business dress is if someone is going to be working in Somalia, he or she must dress appropriately, just like in Europe and North America. When one goes to work, he or she should dress professionally. An individual should not expose too much skin. Also, he or she should wear loose-fitting, formal clothing during work and not tight clothes. Married women are expected to cover their bodies, including their hair. In Somalia, some Somalia women wear veils to cover their faces. Pants are not a generally accepted form of clothing for women, but may be worn under a skirt. The traditional women's dress is called a hijab. Men's business wear are their traditional clothing for a man is called a maiauchi. The snug-fitting hat that a man wears is a qofe. Manners and customs of Somalia. When communicating with Somalian men and women, the approach are totally different between the two, depending on the gender. For example, if two people of the same gender are communicating, they can come within a close distance and converse with each other comfortably. They can make eye contact and touch each other while speaking, but when unmarried man and woman are talking to each other, it is totally a different issue. They must talk to each other in a respectful, professional manner, and touching is not allowed or encouraged. The speaker can still make eye contact, gestures, and facial expressions as long as he or she is not too close. Education opportunities in Somalia are limited outside major urban areas, and gender representation among both educators and students remained skewed. Schools are regularly semi-financed by parents too, and that makes it even harder for a poor child to enter the school system. You don't need to make them aware of your education unless you're asked. In Somalia, culture deadlines are very important. It's stressed a great deal when it comes to work environment, and it should be treated as such. Socially, Somalians are not punctual, but they do not expect others to be punctual, especially if the individual is from Europe or North America. This is due to the stereotypes that Westerns value punctuality. Introduction, shake hands whenever you meet, or bid farewell to Somalia. Rise to show respect whenever an important person enters a room. Always offer your right hand. The left hand symbolizes uncleanliness and is used for personal hygiene. Be aware that it is customary for Somalian men to greet each other with a hug and kiss on the cheek. This is a sign of friendship. A normal business week in Somalia is Saturday through Wednesday, and the business days in Somalia is between the hours of 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. Below are some public holidays, and the only one that would even come close to the U.S. is January 1st. It's New Year's Day. There is Independence Day, and that is June 26th. And they have a Labor Day, which would be May 1st. All others are not anything of such in the United States. Current news in Somalia. There's an article that is Somalia's African Union mission has a new exit strategy, but can troops actually leave? Just a summary is, in response, the United States has increased its troop in Somalia to more than 500 and conducted 30 airstrikes in 2017, more than 4 times the average number over the previous 7 years. In May, the first U.S. soldier was killed in Somalia since the mid-1990s. That can be found at the website below. Why is Trump sending more troops to Somalia? The idea is if you can bottle them up, degrade their leadership, and buy time for the Somalia federal government and regional states to establish themselves, then the problem will largely take care of itself. And below is the website you can find more about that current news. History between Somalia and the U.S. Black Hawk Down, the Somalia battle that changed U.S. policy in Africa. The sight of dead U.S. soldiers being dragged through the streets was a turning point in one of the United States' most high-profile interventions in Africa. In October 1993, 2 U.S. Black Hawk helicopters were shot down. In the ensuing battle, hundreds of Somalis were estimated to have died. Some 18 Americans and 2 UN soldiers were killed. At the time, the United States was leading a UN mission to end the civil war in Somalia. And within 6 months, the U.S. had withdrawn its forces from Somalia. Some facts about Somalia. Somalia has a Coca-Cola company where Fanta is the highest voted favorite. It's said that it's among the women. Milk from camels, goats, and cows is a major food for Somalia herdsmen and nomadic families. Somalia is one of the world's poorest countries, and many gains made during the years after independence were lost in the destruction brought about by civil war in the 1990s. However, in 2000, individuals have begun to help rebuild cities through independent businesses. The country has no railroads, one airline, and a few paved roads. More than half of all Somalians are self-employed as herders, farmers, or independent business owners. Given the right to vote in newly independent Somalia, women began to take an active interest in politics and served on government committees and the People's Assembly. Somalia children are raised with much love, but are also disciplined and taught to work from the ages of 5 or 6 with little time for play. And Somalia has long been known as a nation of poets. More of these interesting facts can be found at everyculture.com. And that is the end of the final project for Global Business, doing business in Somalia.